that. How specifically has the Kremlin...
All right, you've been listening into the House Intelligence Committee hearing today. The featured guest today is former CIA Director John Brennan. Let's go now for more reaction to all of these events going on. We have Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, member of both the Homeland Security and Foreign Relations Committees. Senator, thank you for joining us. I just want to get your initial take on what we're seeing out of Manchester.
You know, I think it's horrifying, and it shows us that we're never really safe at any moment, either in Europe or I think even also here. Also, I think it illustrates what we really need to do is our first line of defense, I think, is protecting our borders. We have to be very careful who we let visit our country. We also have to be very careful who we let come to live in our country. And I want, to have a great mixture of people from around the world allowed to come. But we've got to have the safety of our country. We have to be very concerned about that. And I think that this is more evidence. We don't know if this was an immigrant or not, but it is evidence that we do need to control our borders and be very aware of who comes and who goes.
Well, and yet, as you know, the president's, well, at least the second iteration of his so-called travel ban is tied up in legal maneuvering and may end up going to the Supreme Court, but it's on hold for now. There are countries on that list that were selected by the previous administration because of their concerns about the terror threat from those countries. And yet there are many people in this country who say having any type of ban or freeze like that is discriminatory and cannot stand.
Well, I think you can do both. I've offered something similar to what the president has talked about, but I also offered a way for frequent travelers to get part of a program. We have something called Global Entry. It's kind of like frequent traveler program that you have here, in the country. I'd like to do that internationally. I think even in countries that we perceive as risks, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Syria, we could find people who are traditional businessmen and women. They could go through a background check. And I think even in those countries that have risk for us, I think we could find a good known traveler program, a frequent flyer program. And I think that would also help it probably eventually pass legal muster if we sort of try to, internationalize this global entry so known travelers could still travel.
It's very convenient, saves a lot of time. There is a background vetting process, but in so many of these cases, what critics worry about with foreign countries is that we rely on them for a good chunk of that vetting. Is there a way you think we could do that reliably, being able to be confident of the information they collect on these individuals that is then provided to us or to an international body or system?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things we could do. For example, even with a country that we have a great deal of adversity with, Iran, there are people who are Iranian Americans whose mother-in-law, sister-in-law, cousin would like to come. And I think if they had a sponsor in this country, we should figure out a way to have a known traveler. Having a sponsor in the country makes all the difference in the world. If you're a 19-year-old male with one name coming from the Middle East, we might want to be worried. But if you're a 85-year-old mother-in-law of somebody and someone vouches for you in this country, we should get them into a frequent traveler program and allow ease of transfer back and forth. And this could be in a variety of countries, but we can't just have an open border with the Middle East. We do have to have more scrutiny, particularly for the random traveler who there aren't people there to vouch for. But a lot of security isn't necessarily checking you when you get on the plane. We have to do some of that, but it really should be checking who you are, who you know, who you're related to, and doing a little bit of a background check, because there are people who, for cultural reasons, educational reasons, we want to exchange with the Middle East. And I think you could have both more scrutiny and a frequent traveler program.
I want to ask you about something else that you're very passionate about these days, and that is getting the U.S. out of that Paris Climate Agreement. Plenty of critics of it say it's not good for the U.S. Are we bound by it? What's your plan?
There's a couple reasons why we should get out of the Paris Accord, and I've introduced legislation asking President Trump to get us out of the Paris Accord. We were gotten into it by President Obama. Congress didn't vote on it. So I object to signing away basically our rights to some international body when Congress doesn't even vote on it. There are estimates that we could lose over 6 million jobs in the Paris Accord, and it's going to cost $3 trillion. That's not good for my state of Kentucky, but it's also just not good for the United States, and no one person should have so much power. We should never let the president, I don't care whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, have so much power to commit so many resources. And it's incredibly unfair. I mean, we're treated differently than every other country. Why would we agree to more severe rules than every other country?
Well, this president has expressed very heightened skepticism about that deal and whether we stay a part of it. So we will watch, and we'll watch your legislation as well. Senator Rand Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And let's now